Listener discretion is advised.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the I Should Totally Be Dead Right Now podcast, where we tell stories of survivors of true crime, natural disasters, and everything else in between. So this is our 25th episode, and we actually have my dad as our guest today.
There we go.
Very exciting.
Welcome, Father.
Thank you.
Father.
I can't believe it took 25 episodes for you to finally ask me to come, but
Oh, snap.
okay.
Called out immediately.
That's all right.
I mean, do you listen?
Oh, snap.
I
Called out
have
even
not
more.
Yet. No, I have not.
Dang. There's a family dynamic
Shots
here.
fired.
Yeah. It's making me a
Well,
little
you were
nervous.
talking about survival, so, I mean, I have to... I'm
Of
sorry.
me?
No, I mean, that would be a story in and of itself.
No, let's skip that
Okay.
one.
All right.
We're not telling that
No,
story
we won't
today
go.
of Caitlin's poor demise.
So, since my dad is the guest, he had to choose the drink, and we actually drank his beer he made himself.
Correct. I am a home brewer.
Yes.
I have been for a few years now. Started out with the, the small Mr. Beer kits, like that, and then have progressed to, the actual 5-gallon carboys, and went from the kit brew
Recipes
recipes
Which
that you
is
can buy.
The only thing I've done. That's how we made our beer.
And it's good. Nothing wrong with them. They are good. But it seems like that kind of catapults you to
Try other stuff.
try other stuff. Yeah, come up with your own cool recipes and allow you to build beers that you would like to drink yourself, right? So since that point, I've done that. I've come up with just recipes in my mind, and then, of course, Alyssa, your sister, daughter, right?
Yeah.
That turned me on to different hops. So as a gift, she'd send me, hey, try these hops, try this yeast. And then when I went and worked with her over at the restaurant where she worked at, that brews beer, they turned me on some yeast there too. So trying out different yeast strains and coming up with recipes of different extracts and hops and malts in them just has made it really fun. So
what's this one?
This one I called an amber IPA because
Nice.
it was about a half and half. It's about a half amber, sparkling amber extract with a pale ale extract, and then some light pale malts that were fresh ground that I added to it also, and then came up with my own hop profile that I liked, just from the homebrew store, right?
Nice.
And then paired that with a yeast that brings out the citrus flavor of those hops that I used. So therefore, it's kind of
That
an
sounds
amber
complicated.
IPA,
I know, right?
which actually turned out really well. So
It did turn
it's
out
good.
well. It
Yeah,
was pretty
it was
tasty.
good.
Mine's
Except-
all gone.
Uh-oh.
We did what we think what happened.
Oh, that's
is
right.
it rolled around in the car a little bit on the way
On
over
your way
here. And then me being as excited as I was for the beer, decided just to jump right in and essentially made it explode,
Should have
kind
been,
of.
right, it did, which is weird. It should
yeah.
have been fine, but I guess rolling around in my car driving over here, it does not travel well.
Well, it probably got a little bit warmer and then cool. Because that's what someone told me that just recently. This guy is figuring out a whole, I don't know, bar tap thing for our bar that's coming along. And he was telling me that if you don't keep the beer cold in the pipes and everything the whole time, you'll end up with a super foamy beer. Because
Makes sense.
it gets to room temperature, and then when you go to pour it out of the tap, that's why you get nothing but foam in the beginning, is it just got a little bit too warm. And then I don't know. I guess it probably wouldn't have cooled down again. But then it has cold beer coming in after it.
Well, if you want to see it, we took a picture of the beer in the mess that Michelle made.
I did make a big
Yeah.
mess.
It's on our Instagram and Facebook page.
That feels right.
Yeah.
But it was very tasty. I drank my glass down. Now we're drinking a little chocolate stout that I just found at the store.
That's right. And I have a raspberry.
I don't know
Beer.
how to say it, so I'm not going to try to say
I
it.
don't know either. But the IPA was really good.
I know.
First, I mean,
Thank
I
you
don't like
for
beer.
what-
But, I mean,
Okay.
So you have 3 stories from the Navy, because you were in the Navy.
Correct. United States
Well,
Navy.
thank you for your service, Father.
Thank you.
Your father.
Father.
Do you call him
Yeah.
father
No, I call him
often?
Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey,
I'm
Dad. But this respectable, like Navy, like
Indeed,
Father.
that is true.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
how long were you in the Navy for?
So active duty for 3 years. I did
Okay.
a 3x6 enlistment, what they call it. So 3 years active and then 3 years reserve.
Oh,
So I
okay.
did 2 years active reserve and then re-enlisted for further active reserve duty. So I was able to do 1 cruise on an aircraft carrier
Ooh.
while I was on active duty. And then when I first came back off of active duty, I did a couple of years reserve duty here in Oregon in Eugene, just in a CB unit. But I was an aircraft guy, so that really didn't work out so good for me being in a CB unit.
So, what is a
So
CB unit? Can I ask what that is?
Construction.
Yeah, like every day, sort of getting stuff
That
built.
kind of right, absolutely. Bridge building. I mean, all of that technical stuff that they did that was not even in my wheelhouse at all. So I re-enlisted into the active Navy so I could go up to Whidbey Island and work on airplanes again. So I started doing that.
That does
So
sound
you
a
worked
little
on
bit more
airplanes.
fun.
Yes.
You worked on airplanes.
Yes. E2C Hawkeyes.
So, what did you do? Like, what sort of work did you do?
I
Like,
was
it
a
repair mostly. I don't know.
aviation structural mechanic.
Ooh,
Okay.
that sounds impressive.
The first couple of years that I served outside of the airman school, I worked the line. So these stories that I'm talking about are the times that I worked on the aircraft carrier as an E3 airman on the line as a plane captain.
Okay. I hear a lot of words, and I'm acting like, oh, that makes complete sense.
Yeah.
But I
Air
don't.
captain.
A plane captain.
Plane captain. I already
You're
got it
so
wrong.
embarrassing, Caitlin. I'm sure, like, people who are a little bit more familiar with the military would be like, yes, I know exactly all those things that you just said.
Right. So we were we did the towing of the aircraft, we did the fueling, we did the maintenance and cleaning of it, we did the post and pre-flight inspections on the aircraft and did all of that and then launched them.
Okay.
And recovered them. And then on the aircraft carrier itself, specifically, we, had to tie them down and untie them when they were time to take off.
Because my drafting teacher from high school, he was in the Navy, and he was on an aircraft carrier. Okay. And he would tell us these stories about how the ships, you'd be just standing out on the deck, and then they would just drop down, or, and so you would, like, kind of are airborne for a second just based on these things going over the waves.
Correct.
And so that was a true story.
That's a true, but it wasn't for me so much on the aircraft carrier. That aircraft carrier is huge.
It's so giant.
Right?
Okay.
It was the USS Kitty Hawk, CV-63.
Kitty Hawk. That sounds like a little something from a
no longer in
James
service.
Bond.
No longer in service.
Pussy Galore situation or something. Sorry, that was her name. Right?
Very
Sorry.
sad. That is no longer around.
Oh, it's not?
No.
Oh.
It's decommissioned and.
Is it somewhere though that people can see?
No, I don't think it is. Actually, I believe that it had been intentionally sunk in part of a reef now.
Are you serious?
So they reconditioned. Yeah.
Like, we're done with the ship, so we're gonna sink it. Is that what happened?
And they strip them down and do all that, and then make a man-made reef, which is cool. I mean, it's put into use, but I know I've heard and I've seen that they were talking about the sister ship, the USS Ranger, as being a historical ship that was maybe coming to Portland in the area there. So that would have been one that would have been the exact same type of a ship that you could actually go and visit. Right. And I haven't heard anything more than that. I know that was a year or two ago that they were talking about trying to get it to be able to come to Portland, and I don't know where we're at on that, but that would be neat to see. And it would be something that I'd volunteer to do, to go and show people the ship, because I know the ship.
Yeah.
So if you were a scuba diver, could you go find the USS Kitty Hawk? Did I say that right?
Oh, bet you could, yes.
That'd be pretty sweet. Be like, cool. This is where I worked. Show Caitlin.
Yeah.
You guys are scuba diving.
Thumbs up in the water.
And what's cool about that too was your Uncle Jay, my brother, and
I do know
stepdad
Uncle
Steve.
Jay.
You do know Uncle
Yep.
Jay. They actually came on the ship with me. They did the Tiger cruise, so they flew out to Hawaii and met me in the ship there, and then got to ride with me in the ship back to San Diego from Hawaii. So for about a week,
How
7
fun
days,
would
they
that
got
be?
to cruise with me.
That's
And
cool.
That was cool.
Did you put them to work? That's what I
No.
would have done.
No, I didn't put them to work.
I
but
have all these great family members coming to visit me. Can you go ahead
was
and
it?
clean my room?
All right. Well,
Moving
yeah.
on.
back to our stories, I guess.
Yeah. Yes, let's hear the stories. I'm excited.
Story number 1.
Yes, paint a
Please.
picture.
So all of
So
these,
please start with what year. Oh, what were you gonna say?
Yeah,
I'm
no,
sorry.
no.
What year is this?
So this is 1983.
Okay,
Okay.
so
Okay.
like one of the best years, probably.
Yeah.
That's
So
a
1983 Pacific cruise, and so all 3 of these stories happened while I was on the ship. Okay.
okay.
And some of them I actually, had a little bit of
Little piece of the action.
little piece of the action. in, okay. So the first one, right? So you got a picture on the aircraft carrier. Me as a plane captain. Everybody has specific jobs,
Okay.
right? And
I've seen Top Gun, so I'm pretty,
so you know what I'm
pretty
talking
familiar
about, right?
with
And
aircraft
so if you
carriers.
envision that, you see guys wearing different colored shirts and helmets, and that
Based
represented the type of job that they're doing on that ship or within that squadron. So you've got ship's personnel and you've got squadron personnel, and each squadron has their own units of sailors that work on specific jobs, right?
Okay.
So for me, I was a brown shirt, brown helmet. I was a line guy, plane captain. Okay. So you also have yellow shirts, white shirts, purple, red. Okay. So purple fuelers.
Mm-hmm.
You got white as electricians.
Okay.
Red are ordnance guys. Okay.
So did the same color shirt guys really just hang out with the same other
was it
color shirt
cliques?
guys? Yeah, were there cliques?
No,
No.
not necessarily.
Okay.
No,
This
I mean,
was-
I imagine if you call anything cliques, maybe it was Squadron Pacific specific cliques. You know what I mean? Our squadron, we hung out with our guys. That
That's-
squadron hung out with those guys.
I feel like I have something on me. Sorry. That was weird.
Are you
I
on crack?
apologize. No.
Or meth?
I'm not on meth. No, I seriously, because I get burns on my arms from doing the sugar, but they're mostly like healed now. But yeah, for a little while there, I was looking pretty hard like a meth addict.
Yeah, it was gross.
Yeah.
It was gross.
Are you sure about that?
That was last winter.
Oh, yeah,
I've
okay.
since
I mean, she goes upstairs sometimes for a while, so.
That's hysterical. I'm not doing meth up there, I promise.
Okay.
Well, okay.
That's good to
Makes
know.
me feel better
that
since my
made me-
daughter hangs out.
Yeah.
with me.
Come
You
on,
know?
Caitlin.
Yeah.
Come upstairs for a second.
Okay, I apologize. So, back to our shirt, folks.
Yeah.
So right.
Yeah.
So each
Like you
group
dumb
has
bitch.
specific jobs.
Yes.
Right? And so me being a Brown Street guy, we had our things that we did. Yeah, we do the post and pre-flight inspections, tie those airplanes down, and then when you get them up and running, before you send them to the air traffic controllers, that are
Okay.
moving the aircraft, then you have to take off the chains, and then we carry them down, and then they take control of the aircraft and put them up on the catapult to be launched off the aircraft, right? And jet blast deflectors come up, and you know what I mean, so everybody don't get blown away. When
I never would have
firing
thought
them
of
up.
that, because, I mean, that's like fire coming out the back of those things pretty much, isn't it?
for the jet fighters, yeah, absolutely, they crank those things up, and
I
they're
got-
burning when they go.
That also from Top Gun.
An E2C Hawkeye, for me, we had propeller planes that were
Oh,
props, so
I see.
turboprop planes.
Sorry.
So yeah, turboprop planes. So we didn't have the same kind of fire and cool
Okay.
stuff like the fighters do, but nonetheless,
But you're still getting blown off the
Awesome.
back of the ship.
Good,
if you...
yeah, they're definitely putting out a lot of thrust to be
Yeah.
able to take off of a,
Yeah,
ship
I
to
mean,
get up in the
really,
air
you
and fly.
gotta get fast enough and up in such a short amount of time. I mean, that's kind of crazy.
Correct. The catapult
ship's
launches
not
them
long.
hard and fast, but they've got to be fired up and ready to go with a lot of thrust to be able to, fly up into the air. So the other interesting thing about that is, so E2C Hawkeyes were the radar planes, right? So we would launch first, and they get launched first and establish their mission before the fighters and everybody else starts taking off of the plane, the attack aircraft, fighters, and all that stuff. So that was kind of neat. So we were able to launch our aircraft, and we could stand on the catwalk and watch the other planes take off. So I enjoyed doing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like
that,
watching those aircraft taking off. So the reverse is true too, though. So we were usually the first planes to be recovered after the mission.
Okay.
So the ETCs would come on board first. We collect them, and then as plane captains, we bring them to their spot, chain them down, fuel them, change oil, do all that stuff that they needed to do when they recovered. So that was pretty interesting too. So we'd be right there working on that aircraft as they're recovering. All those fighters and stuff right there, right behind you. I mean, literally feet behind you.
Wow.
These arresting cables come by and just
kind of terrifying.
It was very terrifying. It really was.
I believe it.
Yeah. You had to have.
Can you imagine me on one of those things?
No,
we can't.
You had to have a lot of awareness.
Oh, yeah.
You had to have your head on a swivel constantly. And from day one, when we got trained up on the ship, that's what they talked about. Awareness, know where you're at, what's going on around you. Okay, so think about it. In a propellered plane, right, you have a prop arc. You have to be very aware of where that prop arc is.
I'm assuming you're talking about kind of where the end, so you don't Indiana Jones style your face.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That boxing match.
Good point. Absolutely correct, right? That's a bad day.
Yeah.
Right? When
You're going to have a bad day.
Prop arc, and you are literally a hamburger, right?
Yeah.
That's what.
I would presume you'd be immediately dead.
So the same
Maybe
thing
not,
is true.
Oh dear.
Oh.
The same thing is true for fighter or jet aircraft, right? They have those giant intakes. So when they're powering up, it sucks in a lot of air, right? That's a lot of power coming into it. So you have to be aware and be careful where you're standing compared to that intake on the jet, right? So my first story.
Oh dear. I don't like where this is headed at all.
Okay. Is exactly that. So we had a sailor on board the ship that when our planes were already long gone and off, and I'm standing on the catwalk watching the other aircraft taking off. I cannot remember if he was a brown shirt guy or what shop he actually worked for, but he was not paying attention to where he was at when an F-14 turned on him, and he ducked under the wing of the aircraft, all right, but he stood up right in front of the intake.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
No.
Okay.
So let me just give you kind of what's going on in my head right now. Is I'm imagining all of the cape situations from The Incredibles, when the woman is like doing all
No
the costumes
capes.
and she's
Yeah.
like, no capes. And there was one who's like, he was standing in front of the plane or whatever, and then it turned on and his cape got sucked in first, and then he got sucked in.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm imagining right now.
Yes. That is exactly
Yes.
what happened.
Oh, that's terrifying.
Is he stood up right in front of that intake and got sucked into the engine.
Oh my god. What?
So you can imagine with those turbine blades.
Yeah.
You do realize that this is a survival story, right?
Right. And he survived it.
Wow.
God, I don't know how.
So, well, I mean,
In The Incredibles, he didn't survive it.
did not survive it.
No,
Well, he
he
did.
It's a cartoon.
He did. So, hence why I'm telling you the story on this program. Okay. So, couple things. Extraordinarily lucky, right? And fortunate. One, the pilot saw it happen. And he was able to shut down that engine instantly.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
So,
Second, his cranial, the helmet that we wear, got stuck on the center cone when he was getting into the engine. So it trapped his neck
Oh, that's
against
a hard
the center
barf.
cone of the intake.
Oh my God,
okay?
so he wedged it, like,
Wedged it,
open,
yeah,
kind of.
Yes. But it blew his feet backwards, so he's kind of like bent in half.
Oh my
And the blades did shave off the front of his shoes. His steel-toed boots were shaved.
Oh, so he's
That's
never
insanity.
fine.
He saved him. He was not... Okay, so there is your survival. That's a huge survival story. Now, I will tell you this, though, with that story and how I really came to know about it, how this happened. So, of course, they shut down everything and they're going to take care of that guy, and that changed things. So I heard about what had happened at that
Was
time.
there blood everywhere?
However,
or no?
No, he did not get injured.
He just got bent
like
in half.
that. He just got bent. Right.
In his head wedge.
So
his helmet.
I would imagine, there were some medical issues they're going to have to deal with, plus some psychological issues.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
And they're pretty quick on taking care of guys like that, which makes sense. Absolutely. Right? So then that brings me back into the story again, though. So if a guy like that needs medical attention, they're going to get him off the ship, right? They fly an aircraft from the mainland out to our ship, right? And it's a C2. So it's like our E2, but it's not a radar plane. It is just a true plane. Right, transport plane, correct.
Okay.
But since it's like ours, it's prop aircraft and stuff like that. When they came on board the ship, we took care of them.
Okay.
Our squadron did, because they're like our
That's what
aircraft.
you're
So we would
working
recover
with.
them, right? And fuel them and oil check them, you know what I mean? And prep them for pre and post flights, right?
Okay.
So here I am, the plane captain, getting ready to pre-flight this aircraft coming back once they pick this guy up to take him off the ship and bring him back to the mainland for some assistance, right? Medical assistance. So I was the plane captain in charge of that trip when he came out. So I actually had the conversation with him about what had happened to him, right? And I'm
He's like, well, I'm not real clear,
happy.
man.
Yeah, I mean, he was extremely happy,
Yeah.
and fortunate that he survived.
High-fiving people that he's not dead.
Big time, right? But, so I got to learn that story and how that transpired. And
So no broken bones, just...
Nope, he was able to walk out on his own power. I mean, he was kind of messed up, but he was able to, and that, to survive something like that, I mean, just alone
That's
is
crazy
and amazing that you could do that. I mean, that had to be his very luckiest day.
Yeah.
That I can even...
Well, the good thing, too, is, the pilot was paying attention.
Pilot was really paying, and that in and of itself probably...
Yeah, that would have not been the case if I
anything.
was the pilot. I would have been like, look at that, bird over there.
My engine's on fire.
What
Weird.
That's so weird.
Gosh.
I'll shut it down now that it's been 15 minutes and that poor guy is... That's fucking crazy.
That is funny. I mean, that's... I can imagine seeing that happening and be like, oh, and
it's probably one of those things where he was like, oh shit, I cannot believe this thing is happening. It's not really going to happen. It's not really, I'm in the turbine now. Yeah, it did happen.
Yeah.
It would be so fast, though.
Yeah,
I mean, it would be
probably.
not paying attention, boom, boom, shut down, just pulled out. I mean, literally,
Yeah, that's true.
people there nearby pulled him out rather quickly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're
You have
talking
no
maybe
time.
just seconds. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it would take you a while
To
go,
process.
whoa, really process. That you survived it, I mean, well, that it happened,
Yeah.
first of all.
Yeah.
and
He
survived
probably
it.
was actually like, I
It's
don't
like-
know what just happened.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. That's very true.
Correct.
Wow. Well, that's...
So did he have any words that you remember? He said blah blah immediately. His first words. Did he say
Holy
anything
shit.
remarkable?
Just that he was glad that
To be alive.
everybody did what they did. Mm-hmm. I mean, really, he's glad that everybody, the pilot, noticing it happen, boom, shutting it down so quick. People there to grab him out so quick. And then just how everybody came together for him. I mean, really, that's, and you can't imagine how that would be. You know what I mean? And so he was quite, very thankful and lucky that he survived it. And me too. I mean, that's the kind of thing that you would think that would be, your odds are real high that you wouldn't. You know what I mean? Everything had to be just right to allow him to survive it. Mm-hmm. So,
Let's hear your second story.
Okay, not the same day.
Not the same day, thank God.
Yeah.
God, that would have been a dramatic day.
But the same cruise, you know. So we're on it for 6 months, right? But so anyway.
So you go out for 6 months
Yes.
and you don't really see land for that long.
We go to different ports of call. Yes.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, we weren't out to sea the whole time.
Oh, okay.
I think we were out to sea without going to land about 96 days.
That feels like a long time.
So that was in the
though.
Indian Ocean. The Indian Ocean, 96 days.
It's a long time.
So did you get to see a lot of the world then?
I did.
That's
yes,
awesome.
I did. We of course, Hawaii, back and forth, but the Philippines,
Ooh.
Korea,
Nice.
and Australia. So on the ship, you can imagine we had all kinds of drills. We had drills for, battle stations and man overboard drills. Okay.
How many people were on the ship? Can I ask that? About, was it 500? Was it 30?
We had about 5,000.
What? That is not what I expected you were going to say.
It is
Holy shit, that's
definitely
a lot.
a floating city.
Oh my God, I had no idea. It's
huge.
Far cry from 30.
They're huge ships.
I did not realize.
And a lot of people on that ship.
I did not know that there was that many people. Yeah. Okay, sorry.
Well, a little side note.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody that works with me was on board that same ship, on board that same cruise that I was on. Never saw him.
Huh.
He was part of the ship's company. I was in a squadron. We worked together now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We were both on that same cruise.
But you never once.
Never. He has the same cruise book I've got. You get yearbooks like you do in high school. Just a cruise book, and he's in it. I'm in it.
Nice.
That's
we never
crazy.
Knew until years. When we're working together.
And it
we're just talking about stuff.
out.
Yeah, hey, I was in the Navy. Oh, I was in the Navy too. Yeah, I did a cruise. You did? Yeah, so did I. Kitty Hawk. Yeah, me too.
Say
When?
what?
Same cruise.
year?
Really? You got the book? Yeah. We looked at each other. Book. There he is. There I am.
Oh
I'm
my
like,
gosh,
dang,
that's wild.
how crazy is that? Yeah.
I had an uncle. This is the story I was going to tell. I had an uncle who was in the Navy, and he joined the Navy specifically so he could go travel.
Yes.
And he was from San Francisco, and he got stationed in San Francisco.
Oh!
4 years.
Oh, you're kidding.
So he never traveled at all.
That sucks.
Yeah.
Wow.
So. No, I just remember my mom told me that, and it's like, poor guy, that sucks.
That is.
You got exactly the opposite of what you were hoping to
Isn't
get.
that crazy? It's funny how that goes.
All right, I apologize.
No
So-
worries.
So you're on a
So-
ship with, 4,999 of your other,
Yes. Right.
you have your friends there.
That's right. So we have these drills a lot. And then, of course, like a man overboard drill, everybody musters up, and that way they can determine who, if anybody, is missing, right?
Okay.
And where they went. So they never announce these drills. They just happen. And so everybody has to do their thing to report where they need to for these man overboard drills.
Okay.
Alarms go off, and you go do that thing. So one day I was asked by my chief to go down to the airframe shop to pick up a case of wing cleaner, right? So we have to wipe the wings down on the aircraft, because when the wings are folded up and they're running, you get exhaust and everything burned on the wings. So we got to keep those clean to make sure that they have, they fly right?
As they should.
So
Yeah.
I was asked to go down to the airframe shop and get some more wing cleaner, right? So us as plane captains, our shop was one deck below the flight deck. So because we were on the flight deck all the time supporting the aircraft.
So you needed all your supplies pretty close.
Right. And the airframe shop, the actual shop that works on the aircraft, on the airplanes, is down in the hangar deck. So that's about 4 decks below where I was working, all right?
This is a
So you're
giant
talking,
effing
it's a huge
boat.
right? So on the hangar deck. So all right, cool, I'll go down there and get that. So I'm going down the ladders, down to the hangar deck to pick up this wing cleaner. And I make it to the hangar deck off the ladder, and I see a guy. So you also can imagine the elevators. You have elevators on these ships that bring the aircraft from the hangar deck up to the flight deck and vice versa.
Wow,
right?
okay.
So they're huge elevators
Yeah.
to bring a whole airplane from the hangar deck to the flight deck and back down again,
gosh.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So when the elevator goes up to the flight deck, from the hangar deck, it's just open ocean, right? You see the ocean there. There's
Yuck.
cable that comes up. I mean, that gives you a divider, right? But literally 1 foot from the divider is the open ocean.
Okay.
Oh my god.
And many a times I've stood on the hangar deck and near the cable and looked out at the ocean. Really cool, right?
Yeah.
It's
This
awesome.
is making my stomach like
Turn.
queasy right now.
It's cool. It's really pretty
Maybe
nice.
it's a raspberry
Hashtag
stout.
disagree, but
So I come down and I see a guy standing there next to the cable looking out at the ocean. Oh, nothing. I've done that many times myself. No big deal. As I walk past him, I make it 3 or 4 feet beyond him, and I hear a splash. I'm like, what the heck? I turn back and look. Dude was gone.
oh dear.
That guy was out of it. And I'm like, whoa. I mean, for that half a second, I'm like, what the heck is going on?
He's a wizard.
Another guy saw him jump off.
Oh, he jumped.
He jumped off. He
Oh.
jumped over the cable and took a dive into the ocean.
Oh.
So another sailor saw that. We have these life rings near the openings of the hangar deck there, right? So he runs over there, grabs one, tosses it out into the ocean, and I run over there too, and I see that he did that, and I look down and I could see the guy just floating on away.
Oh,
And I'm
no.
like, oh no, yeah.
This
So I know
is
what's going to
so
happen next. No, I know we're going to have man overboard, right? So I go back up the ladders.
There's not like a button you can hit that's like, man
They
overboard.
were already on it. They were
Oh.
already screaming. You know, they were taking care of that. All right, I know what's going to happen. I'm going back to my shop because that's where I need to report to. So I go back up the ladders, go back into my shop, empty-handed, right? I don't have the wing cleaner. So they were like, hey,
Where's the damn wing
what
cleaner,
are you
man?
doing, man? Yeah. So I'm like, well, no, we're going to have a man overboard here. So I came back to the shop, and they go, come on, they don't announce when they're going to do that. And I go, I know. So they look at me like, but I know what I know. Sure enough, just about that time, the alarms go off, and they look at me like, how in the heck did you know that? Really?
I just know these things.
Right? Yeah. And so I'm kind of like, well, you know,
I'm kind of a big deal.
yeah, kind of a big deal. You know. They have to run that by me, you know, before I can actually do it, right? Yeah, as an airman, yeah, sure. But so I said, yeah, I saw the guy, you know, jump off, and I'm like, dang, really? So here we are. After we muster and make sure we know where we're at, we're right on the catwalk looking. So the helicopter's going out, you know what I mean? So they launch helicopters to support.
That's insane that there's
And-
helicopters
yep,
also
and
on
they
board.
Support, yeah, and they sent the helicopters out there, dropped the line to pick the guy up, but he wouldn't take the line.
So was he trying to commit suicide or
After the
defect?
fact, that's what we learned, yeah, because he wasn't even picking up the line to pick up. So they had to send rescue divers down to grab the guy and bring him back
Oh
up
man.
on board.
Wow.
Like you're
Yeah.
not getting out that easy.
So not getting out. That's right. You still owe us time, right?
Did you
So-
know him? I
I
know there's
did
a
not
thought. You
know
didn't
him.
know him.
I did not know him. No.
Do you think if you weren't there and that one guy was not there, that no one would have saw him?
They have watches
Oh, do they?
throughout the ship.
Oh.
Yeah, that look for that stuff. Yeah, that look for that.
All the
Mhm.
time?
All the time.
Really?
I bet is that pretty
Yeah.
common?
No, not common at all.
Oh.
So
I will.
third story.
Third story.
Same cruise, same channel, same.
So how far apart are these incidents?
They're definitely weeks, if not months apart.
Okay, so it's not like shit. This was a bad week.
It was, yeah, right. No, or a bad day. No, it was throughout the whole cruise. So,
Okay.
yeah, they were definitely apart from quite a bit. So, again, like from the beginning story that I told you about, right? Close proximity, aircraft turning, burning,
Oh,
moving.
dear.
Okay, things like that. Head on swivel. You got to be paying attention to what you're doing. There's a lot of do's and don'ts in the situation of working environment like that, right?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So you can only imagine. So one of the things that you do not do is sit on top of the rail of the ship, okay? Especially on the flight deck, right? Where the aircraft are turning and burning, okay? So around the catwalk, they have about 3 feet of netting. So if you just happen to stumble, slip, fall over the rail, you're not going to fall off the
immediately
ship
into the ocean.
5-6 stories up into the sky, right? Into the open ocean, right? So they have that net. But again, you don't want to be an idiot and sit on top of the rail and risk that, right?
Right.
But anyway, they talk about that.
I feel like all these rules would have been made for me specifically. I would have been up on the rail, not paying attention to anything. The
Kicking
poor guy
back.
next to me would have jumped in, and I would have been like, yeah.
Enjoying the time.
Look at the planes coming in and out. It's delightful.
Well, you know, I mean, and especially when we were at sea for long periods of time, we would have steel beach days. So shut down, no flights, steel beach party time.
Oh, okay.
So they do barbecues out there. You could be out there in your shorts and
just chilling
T-shirt,
out
just
on
chilling.
top of the deck.
yes,
That's
Okay.
cool.
throwing frisbee, doing all different kinds of things. You know what I mean? So you had downtime.
Okay.
Sometimes like that, and then maybe then, you know, I mean, you can get away with a lot of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that would be the time to do it. But when you're operating, when you have air ops going, and you know, aircraft are moving around, that's not the time to do it. So
Right.
this story, this guy was sitting on top of the rail during operations. Okay. So you can imagine a ship, and like you described earlier, with that ship in air, you know what I mean?
It's just going up
On
and
an
down
aircraft
on those
carrier, we
waves.
didn't have a lot of that movement, even under really rough seas. And we had some rough seas where waves were breaking over the top of the aircraft carrier, the flight deck.
You guys
Okay,
are still pretty
you feel,
steady.
yeah, you don't feel it a ton.
Okay.
Not like the smaller ships that were supportive of us that we could see beside us when we're
Poor
taking
suckers.
on field, doing different things like that, and they're just whoosh, whoosh. They're strapped to the ship, you know what I mean, so they don't get washed off,
Oh
basically,
my
right?
gosh.
Yeah, they're moving around a lot, and we're just standing still going, wow, okay, that would suck, right?
Yeah, like rough
That
seas.
looks bad. But, you know, it'd move a little bit. You know what I mean? You definitely knew it. But even when we're launching aircraft, right, the aircraft carrier has to move, and it's going. And the seas still, you can feel it pitch, the ship does. So when aircraft are starting to move on that, if they're going against the pitch of the ship, they have to power up, right?
Okay.
To compensate for the pitch and roll of the ship moving, right? And you know that, and you got to consider that. You know, I mean, there are many times that I had to drop down to the deck, grab bad eyes, make sure that, you know what I mean, that I'm not
That's
getting
all,
blown
yeah,
off
yeah,
because
yeah.
It's not going to take
Planes
your
are
head
moving.
off.
Right.
So anyway,
Because you had situational awareness. And your
Yeah.
head was on a
On us.
swivel.
Look at Michelle. She's a
Thank
quick
I
learner.
do listen.
thank you, but you're right though, and absolutely, man.
That's why none of these stories are about you. Is that
Correct. That was no joke to me.
Shit,
Really,
oh my
no
God.
joke. I pay attention to that, and you know what? Yes, I'm going to be aware of that, and not anyway. So this guy sitting on top of the rail, another fighter jet is turning, and just then, of course, here we get that roll of the ship. Powers up, whoo, and blew this guy right off the flight deck.
Oh my gosh.
Beyond the netting and into the open ocean.
so
Oh my
he's
gosh.
essentially fallen like
5 stories.
6
stories off.
right, but also with a little bit of a trajectory.
Correct.
Because he's
Blown off.
Wow.
you guys can't all see my
Into the
hand
ocean.
movements, but they're happening.
And yet again, another man overboard.
Overboard.
But we had support helicopters out there, so they were quick to get on him
Right.
and recover him and got him back.
And he did grab the lifelines.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. This guy, that was not intentional.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was, and I don't know. I mean, it was
Yeah.
kind of, not thinking right, intentional,
Yeah.
but yeah, so the
That's funny.
helicopters had to go and grab that guy.
Oh, see, that would be my biggest fear. Is that would be me. So I'd probably end up overcompensating and not even hardly being able to walk 10 feet because I'm
Yeah.
like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Right. No, yeah.
So that's a dangerous job.
It really was, especially at night when it's dark out and you have no lights on. You can only have red, we only have...
Oh,
it
shit.
was...
You didn't have like overhead lights like they.
you
Why?
don't have-
Why?
Because you're like,
Oh, you're sneaky.
yeah.
Come on now, right? We don't have any big spotlights. Hey, we're a Navy ship.
That's true. I was thinking of like crabbing, how they have those big
Right,
lights.
No,
We're here,
Yeah, we're getting
guys.
the crabs.
no, way different.
We've got 5,000 people to feed,
Yeah.
so we're going to be doing some
So,
fishing.
you know.
Did you guys do any fishing?
You could. I didn't.
No.
I didn't. Not off the ship. I mean, on Steel Beach days you could, but I never did.
Yeah.
You're like, dang, I didn't bring my fishing gear.
So did you say you had like these? You said red lights, like on your like helmet, or like what? Like
yeah,
so you could
we
see.
had them
or...
attached to our vests.
So you could
red lights.
essentially had a red glow around you, and
Correct.
that was it.
That's right.
That's wild.
Interesting. You would still do like flights in the middle. I guess that's because it's sneaky.
Yeah.
So what was going
Take off
on
and
in the
recover.
world during that time? Because we weren't really actively at war with anyone.
No, we were not. Cold War time, though. Cold War, especially with Russia. We were having different things going on with that. Okay. I mean, and I could go on to tell you more about that. Not so much a survival story, really.
Right.
But that same cruise, right? The Kitty Hawk was well known on that cruise because we ran over a Russian submarine.
Are you serious?
Yes.
On purpose or accident?
Accident. Okay, so
They were out doing their own
little
sort of
games, right? Little
reconnaissance.
things like that, right? So anytime a ship is on the surface, you've got to have your lights on, the navigational lights, right? This submarine did not. It was blacked out and messing with us. And we kind of knew that it was near us, but we didn't know exactly where. You couldn't visually see it.
Okay.
So anyway, dark nighttime, right?
Yeah.
And it's messing with us, and it was right in front of our ship as we're steaming along, and it tried to do an emergency dive right in front of us, and we ended up running right over it. And one of its props embedded into our hull. I mean, we hit it.
Oh, whoa.
Okay. I didn't even know what happened. I was asleep in my bed. And I didn't even know it happened until I went down to the ready room the next day. And they're all abuzz and everything. I'm like, hey, gosh, can you believe that?
You're like, what
And
are
I'm
you
like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Check these photos out. So I got to see pictures, of this Russian submarine being
embedded
towed by
in
its frigate. No, being towed because it was dead in the water.
Yeah.
And then our ship, we had this embedded in our hull. We had to do an emergency. We went back. We were going to go to Thailand to get it fixed, but we ended up going back to the Philippines to get it fixed.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so we got to see that being towed away. Cool. The only other thing that I witnessed about that time was we were in the Straits, and during that time we have to.
Are we talking about like the Bering Straits?
Yes.
Oh shit.
We were floating slow enough we couldn't launch aircraft. I mean, you have to have a certain speed to go to be able to get the launch right.
Go from if you guys aren't moving, they can't whip off
so fast,
right? Okay.
Correct, right?
I would have not known that.
I didn't know either.
So I remember one day we're up on the deck, and sure enough, we had Russian bombers flying over. They're not supposed to fly close to you at all, but they were coming right over us.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, just messing with us, and I got to see them up close because they were buzzing us
That's
very
kind
close
of scary.
during that
It is
time. Well, yeah, you
scary.
just never know, but
Right.
it was all good. And then I have seen photographs of our fighters next to their bombers, right? So they're kind of like escorting them, you know what I mean? And they're messing around with each other, and so you get pictures of each other real close. But I'm sure they did the same to us
This
too.
is
You know what
Top
I mean?
Gun all over again.
It really is. It's that time. Well,
Yeah.
and here's the interesting thing about you mentioning that.
Yeah.
They filmed that
Oh, did they?
where I was stationed at. I watched it.
Oh, are you serious?
Yes.
The actual movie?
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
that's
okay.
crazy.
So check this out. This is a side note.
Yeah.
So literally, yeah. So Naval Air Station Miramar, where they were filming it, and they were asking for extras and stuff like that. I wanted to be an extra, but they didn't cast me. They wouldn't
Too bad you cut your hair off.
It's a Navy. Everybody got their hair off. But check this out. My berthing, where I lived at, was right beside where they filmed the volleyball scene. As a matter of fact, we didn't have a
I know that
volleyball net
volleyball
there.
scene.
They built
very
the
well.
volleyball court out there. I mean, it was never there before. They built it for this movie.
think you're the
poured
word.
the sand, did the net, all that stuff, right? Right there behind our berthing, right? And they told us, don't you guys be, oh, yeah, no problem.
No,
worries,
we're not
all
going to play
good.
in that volleyball pit at all.
So they're filming the scene.
You're like,
And we're
famous.
out
I'm
on
so
the,
excited.
we're out on the fire escape. The back of the berthing had a fire escape and ladder going down. We're standing out there, drinking beer, going, hey, what you got? They're all like, shut up, you guys can't be, oh, hey, we're being all
We're not
loud.
gonna shut up.
They yanked us out of there.
Oh,
Yeah, so we got yanked out of there. I couldn't watch it anymore. If we'd have
Well,
shut up, we could have probably
you're-
watched the whole filming of it, but they were doing it right when we were there.
That's
so we got to
awesome.
see those guys, and we got to see that scene, at least
part of it.
part of it, until we got told to leave.
That is, of course, where Goose and Charlie came from. Those names
Really?
are from Top Gun.
Okay, yeah, so they filmed it, right? That was during I was there when they did that.
That's awesome. I've seen that movie, the volleyball scene especially. When I was like, I don't know, 15 or something, I would just rewind it and rewatch it, rewind it and rewatch it, rewind it and rewatch it.
But those are some really good stories, Dad.
Thank you.
No,
Yeah,
that
was-
those were
yeah.
Those were fun.
It was a good time. And,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, my only reference is Top Gun. I
But it
apologize
works.
But
for that.
it's
kinda
pertinent.
accurate,
It's pertinent.
yeah.
It's right there. It was during that time. It's the same thing that was going on
Yeah.
when I was there. It was
That's
cool.
crazy.
Well, good stories, good beer,
Yeah, it was
Job
good beer.
brewing,
Thank you for
yes.
brewing that beer for
Yeah.
us to drink.
You're welcome.
and
I apologize
Thank you
for
for-
exploding it.
No, I apologize. I evidently did not make it travel well enough for it. I mean, it was probably
I guess you
rolling
don't
around.
throw it in your trunk
Yeah.
and bring it on
Have
over.
it
well, you
roll
have
around.
to, right?
Now it just needs
Well,
to
yeah.
be set
Yeah.
in, just
In the
so.
back seat, yeah.
Well, if I'd have thought about it.
Yeah.
Oh well. But awesome. Okay, well, thank you so much, Dad, again for coming. It was some good stories.
Are you sure you don't want to be like, thank you, Father? For...
Thank you, Father, for
So
coming.
weird.
Dad. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at I Should Totally Be Dead Right Now. And you can even email us your survival story or one that you know or think is cool to be on the podcast. And you can email us at I Should Totally Be Dead Right Now at gmail.com. And we will read it on the podcast. But thank you again, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.
This has
Thank
been
you.
fun.
Yeah, it was really good.